Welcome back to the lab. Today we are taking a look at the Arzopa Z1RC portable monitor. This is a 16-inch screen with a 2K resolution of 2560 by 1600. I got this on a sale on AliExpress for about $82 US, which I think was a good deal. The usual use cases for this monitor includes having it as a second screen for the PC or using it with a laptop when on the go. However, my use case is different. I want to use it as a camera monitor and lab screen for testing PCs and connecting measurement equipment, such as an oscilloscope or microscope. Will it work for this purpose? Well, let's find out. Okay, so here we have the Arzopa 16-inch 2K portable monitor Z1RC. And let's unbox it and see what's inside. So we get the screen itself. We will take a closer look at this later on. And then we also get user guide, warranty card, and it looks like 3 cables. So this cable is a USB-C to USB-C cable, I would guess. That's USB-C to USB-C. And then we have another cable, which is USB-C to USB-A. Maybe that's for the power supply, we will see. And then finally we have another cable, which is HDMI to mini HDMI. Okay, so now let's look at setting up the monitor. Okay, so let's try the first use case with connecting it to a laptop. So there's 2 USB ports here. We'll try this one. And then let's connect it to the laptop. And see what happens. Will it start? Yeah, it started. Will we get the picture? Yeah, we got the picture. And now the picture went away. Maybe because the laptop went into sleep mode. Yeah, okay. So, okay, that's nice. Let's try the other ports, see if they work the same. No, it starts this way also, so it doesn't matter which port you select here. Yeah, can we adjust the brightness a bit, maybe? Yeah, let's see if we can get it brighter. It's not super bright right now. And okay, so there it just restarted, and I got over a certain threshold on the brightness. It seems it just restarted itself. Is that because there's not enough power this way, maybe, to get it to full brightness? Let's see where it stops. Like, it's at 78, 80. Okay, you cannot go to 80. Not this way anyway. So I guess we need to stop at 79 then. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, 79 is fine. That works. Okay. So now it's a bit brighter. Also has anti-reflective coating. You probably see some of my ceiling lamps reflecting in here, but it's diffused, which is nice. I think if you look head on it, it's quite okay. Okay, to test the theory about the restart at 80% brightness, let's try and connect external power here. So now we have a power brick and USB-C power. So I'm not sure which one to connect it to, maybe it doesn't matter. So let's connect power to one of them. And the laptop is still connected to the other one, and let's wake up the laptop, see what happens. And yes, it seems, yeah, well, let's try the brightness then. Yeah, now the brightness is at 100% by default. So if you have an external power source connected, I guess it goes to 100%. if you don't have it, you may have some trouble getting to 100%. Yeah, but with power source, it works. Okay, so now let's move on to the use case where we want to connect it to a PC. So to represent that, I have this old Intel NUC mini PC, and it has a old display port which then have a adapter to HDMI. So we will connect the HDMI cable that came with the monitor here, and then connect it to HDMI in here. And then we need also to have power in this scenario, because yeah. So let's connect the power again, and it doesn't matter which port you connect it to here. So let's pick this one. Let's see if this works. It turns on. And okay, we got picture from the PC. So that seems to work. Nice. And it should also be sound here. So let's try the sound. If you can get some sound. Let's try the speaker volume maybe. Yeah, there's sound. So that's good. If you're testing a PC, you can also test if the sound is working on the PC. Okay, so for this use case, seems very nice. Okay, so the next use case is to try it as a camera monitor. And for this, I'm using this HDMI to micro HDMI connector, which I connect to the camera. And then I use the cable that came with the monitor that goes from HDMI to mini HDMI. So we have all the HDMI here involved. I'm not really a fan of these micro and mini HDMI. I would rather have just the standard one, but yeah, this is the way it is now. Okay, so let's connect this up, and then we'll connect this one to the camera and this one to the monitor, and we'll also need to connect power to the monitor. So let's do the power first. Power, right. And then let's connect this to the camera. See what happens. So the camera I have here is the Sony A6700, which I'm now connected to, and then we have this one, and let's try to connect it as input here. Okay. So let's see what happens. No support power saving. Was that what it said? Something something power saving. Okay. So that's not working. Let's power cycle the screen maybe. Mode the power here and insert it again. And no signal, power saving. I guess that's what it's saying. It's really, really tiny. I guess the display controller in here is not really made for this resolution. Okay, so that isn't working, and that's kind of disappointing, but I know it's kind of problems with the adapters and so on. So actually what I did, I ordered a cable that requires no adapter, so it goes directly from mini HDMI to micro HDMI, and we'll see if that one works instead. So here we have the mini HDMI to micro HDMI, just with one cable. So let's disconnect the one we have now. And let's connect this one instead. Connect it to the camera first. And then to the screen. And no signal, power saving. So same problem. Seems that it's not compatible with my camera, so I cannot really use it as a camera monitor, which is a bit disappointing, of course. In the next use case, we will try to connect this digital microscope to the screen and see if it works this way. So for this case, the digital microscope and the screen have mini HDMI, so I needed to get another adapter. So this is HDMI to mini HDMI, which I can connect to this cable that came with the monitor, so both ends will be mini HDMI. I could probably buy a cable with mini HDMI in both ends, but they are not very common, and this adapter I could get quite easily. So now let's connect this and see what happens. So I'll connect this end here to the monitor. And this one to the microscope. And then let's connect the power to the screen, like that. So the screen turns on, and then let's turn on the microscope and see what happens. So it starts, and we have no signal. Actually, yes, you get a picture here. So let's try and focus on something here. Yeah, and actually this works quite well. And the picture here on the Arzopa screen is actually quite good, I would say. So for this use case, I think it works quite well. It's nice to have the larger picture. Of course, you have the picture already in the built-in 10-inch screen here, but the 16-inch screen, the picture is, I would say, a little bit better and of course larger. So for this use case, I like it, yes. Okay, let's conclude with some final thoughts about the Arzopa monitor. I bought this monitor to replace an old monitor I have at my workbench. You can see that it is old because it has a 4:3 aspect ratio. Some 25 years ago, when I bought this monitor, it was considered a really large and nice screen and was quite expensive. Now you can get a similar sized portable monitor for $80 US. Anyway, I mounted it at my workbench some years ago in order to use it as a lab PC and also test other PCs. But lately I haven't been using it much and it takes up a lot of space on the wall. So I decided to replace it with a portable monitor that I can take out when I have a need and then store it away once I'm done. So is the Arzopa screen a good replacement for my old lab monitor? Yes, I would say it is. It works for testing PCs, which still is my main use case. It also works for connecting to lab equipment like a digital microscope, which is nice. It did not work as a camera monitor. When I checked closer, I saw that it actually said no support when connecting the camera. I tried different settings on the camera for external output, but still got no picture. I have previously used an old PC monitor with a DVI adapter as a camera monitor, and that worked, so I was a bit surprised. However, the Arzopa is not marketed as a camera monitor, so I guess I cannot really blame it for not working. I also found that I can use the Sony Creators app with my phone as a wireless camera monitor. It was a bit laggy at first, but when I set the camera to 5 GHz Wi-Fi, the lag went away and it works quite well. Although my phone screen is a bit small and it would be nice to have it on the larger screen. So is this monitor the perfect lab monitor? Well, I would say it's 80% there. If I would look for a new lab monitor again, I would probably look for something a little bit smaller, like a 15-inch or a 14-inch, because I think this one takes up a little bit too much space on the desk. I would also look for one with full-size HDMI port. I'm really not a fan of these HDMI adapters. However, those are minor annoyances, and I think this monitor will become useful, and I can now free up that wall space of the old monitor. What monitor are you using in your workspace? Let me know in the comments below. That's it for this video. See you in the next one.